Week on Sky Sports News, we are building up to Sunday's Championship playoff final between Southampton and Leeds. And what better way to do so than to speak to a man that played for both clubs? There he is, David Prutton. Very good morning to you. Lovely to see you as always. Let's start, though. We'll get to that game in a moment. But I wanted to ask you about Tony Mowbray and the news today that he's stepping down from Birmingham. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, firstly, he's a man that I've got a hell of a lot of time for. Whenever we've worked with him, he's been very gracious with his time, his insight, and being able to chat with us in and around football matches. So from a purely human and personal point of view, he's a lovely, lovely man. A wonderful career, both as a player and a manager. And right now, he's obviously dedicating all his energy, all of his thoughts and his family's thoughts and love into being as healthy and as well as possible. So it's one that, given what we've seen off the back end of last season, given the privacy, of course, that everyone's quite rightly afforded his family, it's a decision that he's made. And I just sincerely hope it's something that helps him in the long term. And it certainly puts what we're talking about as a very big game on Sunday into perspective, doesn't it? Because obviously football is very, very important, but the health of someone as lovely as Tony Mowbray is absolutely paramount. So, of course, everyone here at Sky Sports wishes him all the best, don't they?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, OK. Let's get to the playoff final then. And this is a game, of course, between third and fourth from the Championship. So in that context, is it the fitting finale? Is it the perfect ending for both of these two to get there?
Well, for these two, yes. If you are Norwich or West Brom, no. I thought over the course of the two legs, very tight affairs in the first legs. Second legs, Leeds came out the blocks at Ellen Road absolutely flying. Norwich, unfortunately for them, of course, it cost David Wagner his job, but chose that particular day to, across the board, not turn up. And then Southampton in the second leg, a cagey first half in that one, but St Mary's in the second half was a joy to behold with the atmosphere, the noise, both sets of fans playing their parts over the course of the two legs. And it feels, yeah, it does. You're right, Rob. It does feel like that. Two teams that have been, I say evenly matched, but of course Southampton have beaten Leeds twice this season. But the running that they've both given Leicester and the wonderful outliers that were Ipswich Town has been a real thrill to see. It's been a real battle at that top end of the table. So I suppose perhaps, yes, it is fitting that these two come together, but scant consolation, of course, if you're Norwich or West Brom.
Yeah, it certainly is. You alluded to that head-to-head. Twice Southampton have done them, including, of course, at Ellen Road on the final day. A game I think you described as a playoff final before a playoff final. Do Southampton take an advantage from that, or at Wembley does that count for nothing?
I think there's all the cliches about form out the window and about it being a one-off game, and I certainly do think there is an element of that. The fact that game, as you say, Rob, was only just a few days ago, with Southampton going up to Ellen Road and coming back with all 3 points, means that possibly there is a little bit of a psychological advantage. They've got some very good players, Southampton, not least Adam Armstrong. I had the pleasure of speaking to Adam Armstrong's mum after the game on Friday. She came and found us and introduced herself, and she was beaming from ear to ear, and quite rightly so, because he's been phenomenal this season. He's the type of player that can cause problems. Che Adams, potentially. I think there's still question marks about his fitness, because together those two are very, very potent. But again, we've seen Will Smallbone score a goal off of Kyle Walker-Peters' assist. What a player he is. So there's so much for Leeds to be very, very wary of. But I do hark back to that first that second leg in the first half of that one. Leeds could have come away from that Norwich game having put 5 or 6, possibly 7 past Norwich City. Yes, on the night, Norwich City weren't anywhere near at the best, but Leeds were ruthless. They were clinical. They looked like the Leeds at the start of 2024. That's such a good January. And seemingly put that little wobble that they had at the very end of the season behind them. So I think, barring injury concerns, Patrick Bamford's another one, of course, for Leeds United. Joel Pirot came in, did very, very well, brought the best out of Jorginho Ruter in that second leg. And when you've got the likes of Crescencio Somerville that can do what he can do, the best player in the Championship this season, they've got so much firepower between the two of them that it's a fascinating matchup. And of course, chuck into the fact you've got Daniel Farke up against a former player of his in Russell Martin. The narratives are great. From the outside looking in, Rob, you know, we talk about how cagey these games can be. there's something in me that's leaning towards this one being a little bit more expansive.
Oh, I like that, and I like a hit. I like the fact that you're a hit with the players' mums. I never would have suspected otherwise.
Which, taken out of context, sounds horrendous. So thank you very much. Yes.
Do you think is this kind of is the idea here? Two big teams, both coming down from the Premier League. Has there ever been a bigger playoff final than this one?
It's a very good question. I think if you try and contextualise it, and not just saying this because we cover them all the time, they're an absolute joy to behold. We know that they can be transformative, absolutely transformative. We can see a team get back there and establish. Brentford, Fulham, teams like that. Aston Villa are now in the Champions League. So that shows how big these games are, how much nerve has got to be held to get through it. Huddersfield Town, we saw climb through it and change their most recent history. And Luton Town, of course, doing wonders getting into the Premier League. So I think you look at these two clubs, obviously, with that former Premier League experience. Leeds spending 16 years away from the top tier, getting themselves back up there to fall out a bit with a whimper. And you'd have to say the same with Southampton, to be brutally honest. So for this next portion of their particular kind of story, it's a massive game. Yes, the finger that gets pointed at it, the overarching opinion is about the money, is about financially what it means to these two football clubs and any football club that's involved in the Championship. But it will create memories that will last a lifetime for the fans that are there. I was privileged enough to cover the Nottingham Forest game when they went up through the playoff final, and they're back in the Premier League. They've secured their status for another season. You just don't know what that does for the evolution of a football club. Are we talking about a Nottingham Forest side that goes in the top half next season? We don't know, but they've given themselves a chance by being in the Premier League, and that comes from winning the playoff final. Make no bones about it. This game is absolutely humongous.
Humongous, what a wonderful word. Let's talk about some of the nuts and bolts of this then, because Southampton had a major fitness doubt over Che Adams. Missed both of their games against West Brom. How big a blow would that be if he was missing again?
Well, I think the way you look at that is not just what the player brings himself, Rob, but what he brings to the team. When you get Che Adams and Adam Armstrong together, that is a pretty potent attack, up there with the best in the Championship. So you get an undeniable work rate from Che. You get the ability to have that physical presence. Obviously knows exactly where the back of the net is, and like I said, working with his teammates that have brought themselves together under Russell's tutelage. He would be a miss. I think it showed, though, on Friday that they can work their way through a very worthy opponent in someone like a West Brom and get themselves through that particular game. It'll be a different challenge, of course, with regards to how Leeds approach the game to the way that West Brom did back on Friday. That is a doubt, but Russell knows he's played football. He's gone through the playoffs himself as a player and got promoted. Sometimes you end up on the biggest stage without absolutely everyone in tip-top condition. That's what squad's for. So it opens the door, doesn't it, for another hero, however unlikely that might seem right now.
Yeah, you, of course, have played for both of these clubs, so know exactly what it means to represent each. So what would winning and losing do for each of them?
Well, what fundamentally for the fans, it's going to be it's a super proud day for them both to be there. And I say that with absolute wholehearted feeling, because I know these are two teams that have had very storied histories at the very, very top level. So there'd be a disappointment that they are in this position without having gone up automatically. But as I said, kudos to Leicester and Ipswich for doing what they've done. It would mean so much in the sense of how you do go up at Wembley on that glorious final day of the final day. I think for the next few years, for the way that these two clubs look over the next couple of seasons, you look at personnel, really. You look at the players there that have really hit the heights this season. Take Leeds, for example, with Somerville, with Archie Gray. Players that have really asserted themselves and looked good, if not good, brilliant in the course of a championship season. Do the Vultures come and swoop down and take those type of players? Both teams can be bullish and say we want to keep our best players, but everyone, I mean, pretty much every club on the planet's a selling club if the price is right. So I would be very, very wary of that. You don't know where it comes from development, the investment that's coming from abroad for Leeds United over the past couple of seasons, all the debate about ownership and the mess that was that football club during the course of the last off-season with no manager. They've established that. They've moved forward. They've got a solid foundation. getting promotion, helps to build that club back up to where it wants to be. And the same can be said for Southampton. Keeping key players, the likes of Kyle Walker-Peters, off the back of a season such as this is going to be absolutely paramount for the future of both.
Yeah. Can I take you? You're not going to like this. All the way back to 2008, you played in a League One playoff final. Unfortunately,
well, I was there. I was there. I can't say I played. My word.
It ended in defeat for you and Leeds, and just magnificent pictures.
Was this in the 70s? Are you sure it was only 2008?
You weren't taking any shortcuts that day. What are your memories of that day and the occasion? And how will the players be preparing for this week? That is just so magnificent, that haircut.
Well, I mean, I can't believe I'm still not going for that at 42 years old. I'm sure if a Leeds fan's watching that, it'll bring them out in shivers because we didn't turn up collectively. We put a lot into getting through the two semi-finals against Carlisle. I remember the Leeds fans vividly being there hours before kickoff, packing out Wembley Way, packing out the stadium. And Doncaster turned up, did a job and went home. Fair play to them. They were the better side on the day. It was one of disappointment. And it means now that when we go back and work at Wembley, Rob, and I know the grounds run really, really well because I used to work at Southampton. Carl is called. Hello, Carl, if you watch it. It's probably busy. Get ready for the Taylor Swift concerts after the season finishes. But we always talk about the pitch and how immaculate it looks. I look at it now, and the energy that I get from working on it is immense. But the minute you step on the pitch, your legs just go heavy. You just think, oh my God, running on this for an hour and a half potentially would be really attritional. And that's what that kind of anchoring memory of Wembley is for me. It's going there, not turning up, coming back disappointed, and really letting down a wonderful set of fans. They're great. I live in this neck of the woods up here in North Yorkshire. They're all predominantly Leeds United fans, and they're a engaging, invigorating bunch. So we did let them down that day. It's been 5 playoff campaigns they've not got through. We looked at something similar when Brentford finally got up. I think theirs was about 8. So I'm saying, Leeds fans, you can keep the faith because at some stage, that potential kind of duck's got to break, hasn't it?
Yeah, engaging and invigorating bunch. I'm still processing that one. If I had to push you, who's going to be in the Premier League next season out of these two?
Oh, I've just waxed lyrical about Leeds. I love Southampton fans as well. My family is split. My friends are split. They support each. I think Leeds squeezed through on penalties 10-9.
Wow, 10-9. That's some prediction. You've thought about that one. David, wonderful to see you. Your mission is to grow back that hairdo by the next time I see you.
Shoulder length, mate.
Yeah.
Shoulder length.
Yeah. Thank you so much.